Hey, welcome back. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Echoes of the Ancients. You know, living in New York, you get used to the rhythm of city life, the constant hum, the rush, the little dramas playing out on every corner. But sometimes, I think about another city, another century, and the kind of quiet, domestic dramas that could turn deadly. Picture this: London, 1850s. The fog is thick, the cobblestones are slick, and in 1,000 modest kitchens and parlors, something is hiding in plain sight. A white powder, sold in every chemist and grocer, cheap as salt. It's in the wallpaper, the fabric dyes, the rat poison under the sink. And for a shocking number of people, it's in their last cup of tea. This is the story of Victorian London's arsenic epidemic, a time when the perfect murder weapon was available to everyone, and the line between accident and atrocity became terrifyingly thin. To understand how we got there, we have to talk about availability. Arsenic, specifically white arsenic trioxide, was the ultimate useful poison. It was wildly versatile. It went into medicines, cosmetics to give that fashionable pale complexion, into pigments like the brilliant, deadly Sheely's green that colored everything from children's toys to ball gowns. Farmers used it as a pesticide. It was used in taxidermy. You could walk into any shop and buy an ounce for a few pennies, no questions asked. It looked like sugar or flour. It had a faint, sweetish taste that was easily masked by a strong cup of coffee or a hearty stew. And its symptoms: violent vomiting, crippling stomach pains, profound dehydration, mimicked the cholera and dysentery that regularly swept through the crowded, filthy city. This was the poisoner's dream. It was untraceable by the medical knowledge of the day, and its very commonness provided the perfect cover. But this epidemic wasn't just a matter of chemistry. It was fueled by a potent social engine: life insurance. The Industrial Revolution had created this new, growing middle class, and with it, a booming life insurance industry. For the first time, a human life had a clear, immediate monetary value on paper. A husband, a wife, a parent, they could be worth more dead than alive. And arsenic was the key to unlocking that value. It created what we'd now call a perverse incentive. There are countless cases from the period that read like dark, cynical fiction. The Breadsbane poisonings in Scotland, or Mary Cotton in England, who allegedly used arsenic-soaked flypapers to insure and then dispatch multiple husbands and children. The town of Rugeley was terrorized by Dr. William Palmer, the prince of poisoners, suspected of using arsenic on friends, family, and racing associates. The courts and newspapers were suddenly filled with these intimate, domestic betrayals. The home, the Victorian sacred sanctuary, had become the most dangerous place of all. The turning point, the moment society finally said enough, came down to a single, messy inquest. In 1853, a young man named John Bodle died in agony in a village outside London. The prime suspect was his own grandfather, who stood to inherit the family farm. The chemist testifying, a young man named James Marsh, was given a sample of the deceased's stomach contents to test for arsenic. He used the standard test of the time, which produced a yellow precipitate. But by the time he presented it in court, the sample had degraded. The jury saw nothing convincing, and the grandfather was acquitted. Marsh was furious. He knew the man was guilty, and he knew science had failed. So, he went to his shed and invented a solution. Literally, he created the Marsh test, a beautifully elegant apparatus that, when presented with a sample containing arsenic, would produce a silvery black mirror of pure arsenic metal on a porcelain plate. It was sensitive, it was dramatic, and it was undeniable. For the first time, arsenic could be conclusively detected in tiny, trace amounts, even in exhumed bodies months after burial. The chemical ghost was given a form. The Marsh test didn't just solve crimes, it created a powerful deterrent. Poisoners could no longer be sure they wouldn't be caught. But the law was still lagging. Public outrage, stoked by sensational newspaper coverage, finally pressured Parliament to act. In 1851, they passed the Arsenic Act. It didn't ban the sale. Arsenic was too economically important, but it regulated it. Sellers had to keep a logbook. Buyers had to sign for it, state their purpose. It had to be mixed with soot or indigo to color it, so it couldn't be mistaken for flour. It was one of the first pieces of modern consumer safety legislation in history, born directly from a wave of fear and murder. Reflecting on this from my perspective as an engineer and entrepreneur, what fascinates me isn't just the grim detective story. It's the system dynamics at play. You add a technological and industrial context, the mass production and distribution of a lethal substance, colliding with a social innovation, life insurance, which created a new financial vector for crime. The system festered until a diagnostic innovation, the Marsh test, provided the necessary feedback loop to force a regulatory innovation, the Arsenic Act. It's a stark lesson in how progress in one area, without foresight, can create catastrophic blind spots in another. We see echoes of this today with every new technology, from social media algorithms to synthetic biology. The Victorian arsenic epidemic is a case study in unintended consequences, and in humanity's often painfully slow, reactive scramble to manage the monsters we create for our own convenience. So the next time you hear about a ubiquitous product, a system everyone uses without a second thought, remember the white powder on the Victorian shelf. Remember that the most dangerous threats are often the ones we've normalized, the ones hiding in the rituals of our daily lives. It took a combination of scientific ingenuity and public will to pull that particular poison from the domestic shadows and into the light of the law. The echoes of that struggle between innovation, harm, and responsibility still resonate powerfully today. Thank you for listening to this episode of Echoes of the Ancients. If this story gripped you, please do share it with someone who'd appreciate a slice of dark history. For more deep dives into the forgotten corners of our past, make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. This is Abnul J. Farabi, signing off from Light Not Studios. Until next time, take care.